Corbin Carroll hits a fly ball to right field. Corbin Carroll, say goodbye. There you go, Gonzo. You wanted a homer, you got it.
Welcome to another Bally Sports Plug Arizona Diamondbacks recap for May 8th through May 21st, 2023. I'm Chris Patrick, and joining me today are Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman, here to break it all down for you. So let's go ahead and get into it. In the last 2 weeks, the D-backs went 8 of 5 over 4 matchups, putting our overall record at 27-20. The Diamondbacks are now second place in the division and fighting for that top spot in the NL West. But let's take a look at how those last 2 weeks broke down. Starting here at home, a 3-game series versus the Miami Marlins. The D-backs would lose that one 2-1. The Snakes would stay at home to take on the San Francisco Giants for a 4-game series and would win that one 3-1. Diamondbacks would then hit the road for a 3-game series in Oakland, where we would ultimately take the series 2-1 over the Athletics. Next, we took a trip out east for the Pittsburgh Pirates at PNC Park, and after a shaky start to that series, we would also win that one 2-1. But now I'll pass it over to Michael Benjamin for a deeper look at how the last 2 weeks went down.
We start this recap off with another strong start from Zach Gallen, who goes 7 innings, only gives up 1 earned run, and has 7 strikeouts. And Brandon Pfaadt makes his big league debut, but gets worked in Game 2. And Jesus Sanchez's 3-run homer in Game 3 unfortunately lead the D-backs, dropping 2 out of 3 to the Miami Marlins at home. We stay at home, and Tommy Henry only gives up 2 in the second, but a big 9th inning from San Francisco gives them a 6-2 victory in the first game. But that was it for the Giants. As Miguel Castro grabs his second save, Zach Gallen dominates again in Game 3, and Gurriel's RBI double in the 9th helped the Diamondbacks take 3 of 4 against the Giants at home. We then head to Oakland and take part in a historic MLB low attendance record when Game 1 saw only 2,064 people in attendance. And the bats came early with Perdomo and Gurriel homers. And Scott McGough unfortunately takes the loss in Game 2 with 3 walks in 2 innings, but the D-backs bounce back behind a nice pinch hit performance from Ketel Marte, and the Snakes win 2 out of 3 in Oakland. And to finish off our 2-week stint, the Diamondbacks head to Pennsylvania and see our first stinker of the year from Zach Gallen, but steal Game 2 behind Pavin Smith, and Merrill Kelly stays strong through 5 innings, and the Diamondbacks win their 3rd straight series, taking 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh. After playing tug of war for first place, they've been out of it for a few weeks now, but they still continue to turn trends over the previous years and are only 1.5 games back of the Dodgers for first place. I don't know about you guys, but I'm absolutely thrilled with the way this team has been playing and continue to trust in their young pieces and give opportunities to others, having a quick trigger for those who might not be pulling their weight right now. With that being said, I'll pass it over to Tallman so he can shed some light on what he's been seeing from the Diamondbacks these past 2 weeks.
Pitching. Again, I mean, I feel like I say this every single time we do this recap. We continue to see some inconsistency with our starting pitching rotation, right? Then we saw what happened to Zach Gallen. I mean, hey, some of the best pitchers in baseball, that happens to them every so often. You can't throw your best stuff every single night. So not concerned whatsoever, but coming out just seeing continuously shaky starts from Tommy Henry. Finally, Brandon Pfaadt, he figured it out in his last start. It was the best start that he's had this season. Absolutely. I mean, coming out in his debut and just getting totally smacked around, giving up all those home runs was just so hard to see, but he's fighting through it. So this team really needs veteran pitcher Zach Davies back. I would say that was just going to help the rotation out so much. Right now, it's pitching. It's the bullpen as well. We've seen some shaky performances from some of our relievers. Past couple of games, they've kind of held together a little bit. Like you mentioned, Castro throwing in a couple saves, pitching some good ball past 2 weeks, but just pitching. I mean, if we can really hone this aspect of the game in, I mean, this team's going to be hard to beat. When you have an offense that can score that many runs, I mean, we can overcome a 2-run, 3-run deficit, I think, in any game with this offense and how they're playing. But you mentioned young players, Mike. It's been great to see. We had some guys come in, Dominic Fletcher, which you're going to hear me talk about later, and then also Emmanuel Rivera too. We've just seen some new names come up and start and be productive right away. So it's been good to watch so far.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Tallman. The pitching is continuing to be an issue for this team, whether it's the starting rotation or the guys out of the bullpen, costing us games at times. It's really frustrating to see. And as you can go and listen to on the Heat Check podcast we just recorded, we expressed some frustrations about how this team has been performing from the pitching perspective and how they need to make some changes here leading up to the trade deadline, which I know is a ways away, but it's something we need to start thinking about now if we want to have aspirations for making the playoffs and being competitive in those playoffs. But I want to share with you guys some of the stats and some things that I've been seeing here in the last 2 weeks. First off, Corbin Carroll and Christian Walker have kind of cooled off a little bit, batting sub 200 in the last 2 weeks. And I don't expect that to be the case. I know Corbin Carroll was a little banged up, so I expect he'll bounce back and continue to be a productive member of this team. But just to dissect a few specific players, Ketel Marte is still killing it in the last 2 weeks, batting 298, 16 hits, 1 home run, and 4 RBIs. Josh Rojas with an average of 237 with 8 hits and 3 RBIs. And Pavin Smith, only 227 average, but with 9 hits, a home run, and 5 RBIs himself. And as Michael Benjamin mentioned, Miguel Castro with 3 saves, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 0 hits, and 0 earned runs. That guy is standing tall, big dude, and is really coming clutch. A guy we can trust out of the bullpen finally. I love the sheriff, Andrew Chafin, but man, he has just not been getting it done and has even blown a save or two, including a 12th inning game that we ended up losing, which cost Merrill Kelly a win. But I want to pass it over to Michael Benjamin so he can share with us his player of the recap here in May.
Okay, I feel like this was an easy one for me. For this recap, I had to go with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Over the past 2 weeks, he's hitting 289 with 13 hits, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, and 6 runs. And I'm looking into my crystal ball. I'm seeing a perfect 4-for-4 game against the Phillies with a homer as well. I don't know. Check the box score. It might have happened. But, he's been a staple for this offense the last 2 weeks with 7 extra base hits and a breath of fresh air for some inconsistency we've been seeing out of some of these young outfielders who have been in and out of the lineup and also been moving back to Reno as well. We'll see if the long-term trade of Dalton Varsho bites us, but for right now, I've been very impressed with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. So, Tallman, I got to know, who's your player of the recap?
All right, so I'm going to take a newcomer. I already pretty much gave it away a little bit earlier. I'm taking Dominic Fletcher. He's going to be our 25-year-old rookie. Just made his debut in the major leagues back on April 30th. Over the last 2 weeks, he's been batting .315, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs. He's been coming up to the big stage, and he's been producing right away for this team. I mean, obviously, we've had some stellar performances from some of our normal everyday guys, but I wanted to give some props out to the new, I'm going to say young guy. He's 25, and I'll give or take. He's young to the major leagues, right? But him stepping up and producing, helping out at center field so Corbin Carroll can get healthy, get that ankle right. Dominic Fletcher, let's see what he can do rest of the season.
And it continues on that trend of this exciting young core and the prospects we have coming up through the system. You guys nailed it. Gurriel, Fletcher, they've absolutely been killing it. And I think had Zach Gallen not killed a bird, he might have been my player of the recap. But he did throw kind of a turd against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I'm going to go with Merrill Kelly, our number 2 best pitcher on the roster right now. In his last 3 starts, he's 2-0 with 19 strikeouts across those 3 appearances. I think, like we keep saying, the pitching staff needs to be successful for this team to be successful. And having a number 2 guy behind Zach Gallen that we can rely on is crucial. Whether it's Brandon Pfaadt, Tommy Henry, or anybody else filling out the rest of that rotation, we need pitchers that can win games. And Merrill Kelly is proving to be one of those guys. So I trust him. I have faith in him. And that's why he's my player of the recap this week. But we're going to continue to keep on watching the Arizona Diamondbacks and coming at you with bi-weekly recaps to keep you informed on what's going on. Coming up, we have a away series in Philadelphia taking on the Phillies for 3 games. We'll come back home to take on the Boston Red Sox for a 3-game series. Then we'll stay at home for a 4-game series against the Colorado Rockies at Chase Field. So make sure you tune in, like, and subscribe at Bally Sports Plug on Facebook and YouTube. For Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.